Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to Metrofest 2021. In fact, I don't really know why I'm calling it 2021. It's the first time we've ever done it. We might even do another one later in the year. Now, boy, oh boy, we've got a lot of treats coming up for you, but more on that a little bit later. If you love your cars fast, if you love them nippy, light and nimble, then Metrofest is the place for you. And guess what? We're live. Bam, 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 bam. I can listen to that all day. Right, everybody, welcome to Metrofest 2020. It's a proper introduction now. We had to get that video in. And of course, I'm joined by the co-host for today, the glamorous Emma Cross. Emma, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Really excited, really excited.
Yeah, look, absolutely. We've got so much coming up today. Emma, I quickly want to have a quick chat with you, actually, because session 2 today is a Metro Meets, and we're going to meet a lot of the drivers and the person involved with the Metro Cup. You're not going to be in that session, though, so we want to find out a little bit more about you now. So, Emma Cross, this is your life in the Metro Cup. What is it you do?
What don't I do? So I'm a coordinator for all the drivers. This will be my 6th season in this now, so I've been doing it a fair while. And basically I round everybody up, get everybody to know what's going on during the season, organise lots of different things throughout the year. Yeah, and I'm the go-to person, basically.
You are the person who does all the real hard work, aren't you? That's the person you are.
Yeah. The running around the paddock like a blue fly. Yeah.
Yes, it's just gone midday, so
yeah.
Right now, we've got a lot coming up today, but of course we can't ignore the fact it has been quite an emotional week, hasn't it? It is with great sadness, of course. We have lost Sabine Schmitz, the queen of the Nürburgring. Unfortunately, she did lose her battle with cancer this week, and of course, the voice of motorsport, Murray Walker. He has sadly passed away at the age of 97. Now, not a lot of people they probably don't know this. You might not be aware of this. Murray Walker actually does have an association with the MG Metro, doesn't he, Emma? And for the younger viewer, you won't remember this.
No, they won't.
And I don't know how to say this. If you were born in the 80s or before,
you might have come across you might.
You might have come across this. Murray Walker did a fantastic advert with Nigel Mansell, and I'm delighted to say it's a 2-part advert. I'm pleased to say we've got both of them for you right now. Just sit back, relax, and watch the master that is Murray Walker. Not actually behind the mic, but on the camera.
Oh! Good morning, Mr. Mansell, sir. No doubt you've come to see the new Rover Fastback.
Metro, actually.
The Metro, of course.
A true driver's car. Handy around town?
Absolutely, Nige. Words right out of my mouth. Central locking, naturally. Lots more room than you used to. And a sunroof, so you can feel the wind in your helmet. 4-speaker stereo.
And Prost tipped to win.
Radio cassette. Look, take it for a spin, Nige. Be my guest. Come on, Nige. Out you come. Yeah. Safe as houses, come on.
Whoa! I don't believe it. What stupid... Nigel! Nice to see you.
Oh, gentlemen, I see you're admiring the new colour-keyed bumpers. Very smooth, very chic, very sexy, very bumpers. Very sorry, Nigel.
I don't believe it.
Sorry, Murray. So, you'll be wanting a new car then, eh? Well, this could be your lucky day.
Yeah, but what about...
The new Metro and Maestro specials. Terrific value, some very special ways to pay, and they've even given them both a sunroof. Ooh. But you'll have to hurry, Murray. They're going to go fast.
But isn't it...
Exactly, Murray. Less than any Fiesta and Maestro special.
But I thought...
Absolutely, Murray. Less than any escort. So, whichever you choose, it won't cost a mint, Murray. A Murray mint. Get it, Murray? Sorry, Murray.
Brilliant. Every time I watch that, I just giggle to myself. Yeah, absolute master, isn't he? I mean, somebody acting's questionable, but what a tragic loss, isn't it? And what year is that? Do you know what year that was filmed?
No, but he's a voice that I was brought up with, watching with my dad, Grand Prix. It was just the voice to Formula One and so much racing. Yeah, sadly missed. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Now, he's not the only celebrity, alongside, of course, Nigel Mansell there, to have an association with the Metro. And, of course, over the course of today, we've got a couple of celebrities coming up later as well. Let me talk you through what's going to happen today. Let me bring the agenda back up on the screen. Once Emma and I depart, Emma departs anyway, I will be joined by Robbie Kenny. We've got a little getting into racing feature there as well. Then I'm delighted to say we're going to head over to Mallory Park. We've got full race from 2012 to bring you. That is going to be pretty exciting. Then we're joined by George from Metro Power, who's going to talk power. That's what we like, power. Now, Metro Power is a website. They're sort of a media house. They're for Metro enthusiasts, which is great. And I'm delighted to say after that, I'll be joined by Mark Bolsh and Wayne Scott from the MG Car Club. This afternoon from about 3 o'clock, we've got our Metro Meets session as well. I caught up with a load of the drivers. We're getting drivers in live as well. I have a little confession to make actually with Metro Meets session, because there was so many people to talk to. Not everybody is live. I did have to pre-record a couple of them, so apologies. But we had to do it. There's just too many. You try juggling 17 people to come on in one afternoon. So keep an eye out for that if you're watching. See if you can tell which ones are pre-recorded and which ones are live. Right, after Metro Meets session finishes, I'm delighted to say we'll be joined by Tiff Needell. Of course, Top Gear's Tiff Needell, no less. In 1998, did a feature with Top Gear. He went racing. Steve Soper was in that. Tim Harvey was in it. And in fact, a couple of the drivers in Metro Meets we're going to chat to later remember that day as well. They were there. Then I'm delighted to say we're going to be joined by another celebrity. I'm sure you won't mind me saying, celebrity. He finished, I got to the final of The Apprentice in 2015. He didn't win it, but if you want to just refresh your memory, this is who we've got coming up on the show to talk all about Metros. Richard Woods from The
Yours
Apprentice.
to keep, all right?
That's fantastic.
So you've been a great candidate, a good guest on this show as well. Let's have a look at your highlights, Richard.
I'm like a Swiss Army knife of business skills.
I actually want to be the charming, bumbling English guy.
Come here, you.
Oh, Beverly. Oh, yeah.
Richard has some certain qualities that irritated me at the start.
Yo, yo, yo. Hello, Super Sub Team.
But now I've changed my perception and they actually make me laugh, and I think he's a lovely man.
It's Richard's way or the highway, but when you get to know him, you can't help but warm to him.
That is the most amazing sandwich that your husband will eat today. Might put my feet up.
In all the years that I have run this task in this boardroom, this has got to be one of the best.
I'll go grab a coffee.
See you later, mate.
I'll be speaking outside.
Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Woods. Well,
Yes, there you go. Richard Woods from the BBC's Apprentice will be joining us later this evening. If you're wondering what on earth has he got to do with Metros, he has a cracking story. He's a very strong relationship with the MG Metro. And then after that, I'm delighted to say we'll be joined by the Club Racing UK for a very special podcast this evening. We've got a number of Metros we're going to have a little look through. They're going to pass their judgment and their comment and decide their favourite MG Metro. And then, of course, we'll be rounding out with our final thoughts and a look ahead to the season. And talking of the season, Emma, we're delighted to say every round's going to be streamed live, isn't it? Like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait. Starting at Brands Hatch and then all over the country for the rest of the season, finishing off at Snetterton at the end of the season. Yeah,
absolutely. I can't wait. You can't wait. The drivers can't wait. Everybody watching can't wait. And it's going to look a little something like this. Oh, we do love here at the Metro Cup. We do love a bit of deep music, don't we?
Love that. Love that. Very fitting.
Very fitting indeed. Right, Emma. I imagine everybody's probably sick to death of us, but they're probably sick to death of me anyway. Certainly not you.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
You don't have to agree with. I do. Thanks for that. I think it's time we got on with the show. I'm delighted to say if you're thinking of getting involved with the Metro Cup, you're looking for advice, you want to find out a little bit more, then this next segment is for you. I'll be joined by Robbie Kennin very shortly. He's in the green room, seen down below. Actually, he's getting himself ready, and it is a Get Into Racing feature. Do stay tuned for it because Robbie's put together some awesome content as well. Emma, you're going to head out. I'm going to take us to a very short break just whilst we get Robbie prepared, and I'll see you later. Right, so here we are, guys, at If by Magic, the man himself. It is, of course, Robbie Kennin. He's going to help us and talk us about getting into racing with the Metros. Robbie, thanks for coming on, by the way. I really, really appreciate it. How are you, first of all?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. Now, Robbie, this is a very important feature for people who are looking to get into motorsport, and in particular with the Metros. Just give us a little bit of your background. Why motorsport, first of all?
So I've followed quite a few championships over the years, Mini Sevens, Mini Miglias, touring cars. I used to do competition safari racing. I was a co-driver for that for a number of years. And I figured actually I want to be the one pedaling. I want to have a go rather than being along for the ride. So I probably caught the bug for racing 10 years ago with my best mate, and we'd go away for weekends. Wales, Norfolk, you name it, we went away and we were racing for the weekends. So I've always had it in mind that I wanted to do it. It's just a case of how and when. And the car that I originally was going for fell through, but luckily I managed to find that a car I've got now, which has led me towards the Metro Cup, which is brilliant.
We're going to come onto your car very, very shortly, but there's probably a lot of people who are watching this and similar to myself, actually, don't race. I've done track days and stuff like that, and I've been fortunate enough to test a few race cars for media duties, but I've never actually raced in anger. I haven't taken that step. What was sort of how easy was it for you to make that decision to go from sort of doing a bit of track days, doing a bit of this and that, and thinking, no, I'm going to commit now. I'm going to go for this.
It was one of those ones. So I've got two kids. With my first boy, my missus gave me the challenge of you can build one more engine to make it count. I was like, right, okay, fine, I did that. Had the second, I said, right, I'm going to build a race car. I said, okay, fine, race car. So from that, I got the car, and the rest of history. I've started working on it since I've had my second boy, which is probably why it's taken me a little longer than most to get the grid. I've still got, like I say, things to do to be able to get there, if that makes sense.
Yes, and things to do, such as your ARDS test, for example.
Yeah, so still got the ARDS test to do. So given what's going on at the moment with regards to coronavirus, I haven't been able to get physically a bum in the seat to go and do the test yet. but that's hoping to change next month. So we've got that booked up. And yeah,
was that easy to do, Robbie? By the way, was it easy to book the ARDS test?
Yeah, so I bought my Go Racer pack through MSV. You can get it through other motorsport officials. I think it was £109 for the pack. You fill it in and basically you bring it along with you to the ARDS test. So I've filled the forms in. I've got everything ready. Just need to physically get to Brands to do the test.
Absolutely. And so, right, you've got the ARDS test. I know you've got a car now, but was it difficult sourcing a car?
No, it wasn't difficult. So I originally found my car by chance, and then off the back of finding the car, I did a bit of research into where it would be eligible to race. And then I stumbled across the MG Metro Cup and doing a bit of research, speaking to some of the drivers, some of the officials. I thought, yeah, I want to get a part of this. Like, it seems like a really good, close-knit group. So, yeah, I started speaking to some of these guys nearly 2 years ago. And that's how long it's taken me to get to where I am now. I could have done it quicker, but given the circumstances of what's going on in the world and family at home, it's taken me, like I say, 2 years so far.
Well, look, talking of your car, I've got a little picture for everybody to have a little look. Would you look at this, by the way? That is something quite special, isn't it? Completely stripped down there, Robbie. I've got another picture as well. Look there with the bonnet on.
Yeah.
The livery design, talk us through that. Is that your own choice, or did it come like that?
So when I originally stumbled across the car, it was painted in the blue and white. And most people know that sort of livery from either a 6R4, but they did a Group A touring car in that livery. So I sort of did it as a bit of homage to the original sort of Group A's. I thought, right, well, I'm going to build a naturally aspirated version of a Group A touring car. And where it was in the right colours, it all seemed to fit in. I spoke to Patrick Watts, who was the original driver at the time for British Leyland. Basically asked him permission, can I build a replica car? I got that. So that was the history from there.
Wow. Was it, we've got a cracking video to show everybody very, very shortly. What's your sort of mechanical knowledge? Are you quite savvy on the mechanical side of things?
Yeah, so I've been doing things for years. I've been playing with things for 10, 15 years. I worked at Swift Tune Engineering, which I worked for them for a year, 2 years. So yeah, I know my way around an A-series engine. Only thing I didn't really know was the Metro setup, to be fair. It's a bit different. Like, you've got hydroelastic suspension with these, as opposed to a Mini, which uses a conventional like rubber cone system. So it's a bit different.
So for those people like myself who have no technical knowledge whatsoever, is it quite a simple car to get to grips with?
Yes, in a way, but at the same point, I'm still trying to get my head around the suspension. So I've managed to get all like the car geometry done and set up to how I think it should be, but I need to turn rubbers on the track to be able to find out if it's going to work the right way. Okay, great. Now look, I kind of already knew the answer to the technical question, because we have a great video to show. Because not only do we get to talk about what you do and get it into racing with you, you actually document your journey as well, don't you? You kind of do a video blog as well. And I've got episode 2 to play for everybody. So if you are watching this and you're thinking of getting involved, certainly with the Metro Cup, this is a video from Robbie. Just watch this, sit back, relax, and enjoy for a few minutes.
Welcome back to the second instalment of my vlog about getting my car back onto the racetrack and me qualified, ready to go racing. One of my next jobs was to look at fire extinguisher systems, so I did my research to get my car up to the new regulations that will be coming into effect in 2022. I decided on a Lifeline 4-litre system that came with all the nozzles and the pipework. The system uses 8 nozzles, 4 aimed at me in the cockpit and 4 in the engine bay. I also opted for a mechanical type of system, which means this is operated internally and externally by pull cords, as seen in this photo. I then decided to locate the fire extinguisher bottle itself in the passenger footwell of a car, keep the weight low and to try and offset some of the weight against me and get an overall balance of my car. I didn't get too many photos of the whole system when I was installing it. However, I hope the ones that you have seen have painted a clear enough picture of what was going on.
So it's been a few months since I last posted anything, and we are en route to go and pick up my engine. Aren't we, Harry? Road trips with Daddy mean one thing though. McDonald's. So there's a few photos coming up of my engine build. A couple of people to say thank you to. Phil at Annings R&R for building the motor and getting it all sorted. And Arnold at KAD Engineering for sorting out the crankshaft. Everything with the engine has been done to regulation spec. So crankshaft has been lightened and wedged. Rods have been lightened and balanced to make sure that everything's good and smooth. It's got an X-Winning Championship head on it, so looking forward to putting that to good use. And all that's left to do is to get out and use it. I can't work out if I'm excited or terrified in this photo, but either way, it's happening. So, as you can see, car, the engine is in. We got it on Monday. And I got home about 5 o'clock. My mum turned around and said, "Why do you get it in now?" And I look after the boys. I was like, "Yeah, all right, fine. I'll crack on." So it's all in, which is good. Got all the carbs set up, which are all good. On full throttle linkage now. Just setting up the alternator and the electronic water pump. Make sure that gets all aligned up properly. I'm just about to give it a blow off and a clean. But at the moment, since beginning of this year, really, things haven't really progressed a lot. So give you a little bit of a rundown on the interior of the car. So we've got Can-Am's ECU we're going to be running. I'm also running a Southwest Track Support custom fuel tank, which has been baffled. So thank you very much, Tom, for the sponsorship with the tank. Fuel tank cover is made, got a lid to go over the top of it. I just need to bloody good hoover, if I'm perfectly honest at the moment. As an A-Series, we're allowed to run the linkage in the car. I'll be honest, I've not seen anyone do it in the metro scene. It's been done lots with Mini Miglias and Mini 7s, so I've got an Owens fabrication tower, and I've made an alley, half-inch alley rod, which has got a left-handed thread and right-handed thread, so I can wind it one way to adjust the gear stick if I need to. But at the moment, it's all mounted, ready to go. Just need the engine to work. It's not done yet. Nearly. So I fitted the engine basically to be able to test fit everything, make sure everything was routed properly, or get everything set up where it needs to be, and then once I get a little bit of extra money, whip it out and get it off dyno. Hopefully we'll see a good number, keep up the front runners eventually, but for the first season or two it's just going to be a case of getting used to the car, get used to physically going out racing. I've still got to book my ARDS test, but where it's all social distancing, it's a bit difficult at the moment, so as soon as that's done, I'll be doing a video on sort of the whole process from massively overweight, but I already know that. That's why I've had to cut more out of the car, because, you know, fat boys can go fast too, apparently, so they say. Anyway, crack on.
Robbie, brilliant stuff. I've got to say, mate, you must have raised a smile there. I must say as well, other fast food restaurants are available as well. Robbie, just tell me, the moment that you fired the car up for the first time, how good did that feel?
It was nerve-wracking, but it was awesome. It's always his first time starting an engine. You've got this. Is everything right? But no, it was good. Better a bit on that car because it was on that video because it didn't have the exhaust system on it. I literally just started it to make sure everything did what it needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, we must stress as well, you've got a very, very good mechanical knowledge. If anybody who's like myself I know where the engine is and I know where the wheels are, and that's about it. There's so many people who can help out, isn't there? Certainly in the Metro Cup paddock. You probably yourself as well. You're probably a good person to contact, actually. Help
where I can.
Just quickly, Robbie, as well. That's not obviously the only episode. That was episode 2, wasn't it? You've got more coming, and obviously done some more. Where's the best place to watch those if anybody wants to see episode 1 and watch future content from you?
I mean, generally speaking, I'll tend to upload them straight to the MG Metro Cup page, so they'll post them there, and I'll put them onto my YouTube, which I'll be honest, I can't remember, but I'll give you the link.
Probably YouTube. It's probably that. What we'll do, we'll post it below in the comments as well, so we'll find out. And there is the website right across the bottom as well. If you do want to find out a little bit more, www.metrocup.co.uk. If you're watching this on a page that isn't the Metro Cup on Facebook, do go over to the Hickford Construction MG Metro Cup page, give it a like, and we will be posting Robbie's blogs going forward right here on the Metro Cup page as well. Robbie, look, thanks so much for giving your detailed insight, your knowledge. That's not it just yet, though. Why should anybody watching this right now? I mean, we've seen so many good reasons why people should get involved in the Metro Cup. But why do you think people should get involved in the Metro Cup?
I mean, it's a good, affordable route to start. You can pick up a car for £3,000 or £4,000 built. You don't have to go down the route of building one. I made that mistake. I would have probably bought a built car if I could do it again. But even then, they're such a close-knit team. Even from an outside perspective, trying to get information from people, everyone's willing to help you, give you a call. So yeah, can recommend them enough.
It really is a bit of a family affair, isn't it? The Metros. That's going to be the theme, no doubt, as we progress through the show here today. And again, do get in contact with us at any time. Comment below. We can see the comments. If we get a chance, we'll read them out throughout the day as we go out. And the website is, of course, running across the bottom as well. Robbie, are you actually going to get out this year then? That is the plan, right? We're going to see you racing this year?
Yeah, so the plan is I've got Rolling Road next month, Oz Test next month. I probably won't make it to Brands. So we're going to be looking at Alton or Donington for the first event for the car and for me.
Look, I'm going to be at every single event this year. The only thing I request, well, 2 things actually. You'll get used to me asking for lots of things. 2 things I want from you. First of all, when I'm walking around with a camera, please don't be put off if I shove the microphone under your face. And second of all, can I have a McDonald's?
Not a problem.
Right, thank you so much. That is Robbie Kennenig with the insight into getting into racing with the MG Metro Cup. Now, you've just seen Robbie fire up his Metro for the first time there. Our next feature, wow, this is going to be incredible stuff. Sit down, relax, because we've got a full Metro Cup race coming up from Mallory Park. We're going to bring you the entire race. That's going to be exciting. Robbie, stick around and watch that, because that'll be a lot of fun. I think it was from 2012. So we're going to get the entire race, the full action. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go to a very short break. And like I said, when we come back, we'll be at Mallory Park. See you soon.
Welcome back to Mallory Park for this Motors TV live race day. We've had a cracking Tin Top Series race already, and the grid very shortly is going to be full of Metros, because the very popular Drayton Manor Park MG Metro Cup is going to be next. Here at Mallory Park, I'm afraid the rain has started to fall. It's been dry all morning, but now we're getting a little bit of rain falling, and therefore the track is going to be slippery. There are the Metros. They're going to be coming up very shortly. As I say, the Tin Top Series has just finished its first of 2 races of the day, won by Ian Butler with his very successful Ford Focus, and he's going to be out later on. Chris Whiteman was in the same race, but he got caught out at the hairpin, and that Joe Twyman a very big spin.
He just lost it on the brakes. Yeah, he was lucky not to hit the wall there, to be honest.
See the spots of rain on the windscreen of Chris Whiteman's car, and the Metros making their way now from the collecting area. They're all rolling starts, the races at Mallory Park today, so quickly the cars brought from the collecting area round into the race itself. There's one car needing a push to go down the pit lane and has been in grief just of late, which is 65, the car of Tom Burles. Now, the Drayton Manor Park MG Metro Cup broken into classes, so you've got standard 8-valve Metros, you've got modified Metros, standard turbos, and the 8-valve K-Series engine cars in a separate class. Then you've got modified MG Metro turbos from the old race championship, and 1380cc Metros going up against Rover 100s with 16-valve 1400cc engines. And then there's an invitation class, of which there is one car, Ray Kirschberg's MG Metro, for cars that don't comply with the regulations, but it's good to have them on the grid. So it's a very, very busy grid we're going to get. There are 29 cars set to take the start. The field making its way down towards the S's. You've got Mike Williams as the man on pole position, who has already had 2 outright wins this year, and Neil Gardner lining up alongside him. He's the other driver that has scored a victory. They have split the wins between them, and it's very encouraging to see such a busy field, including there, as you look down the grid, car number 7, which is the turbo of Tony Howe, a car that he's been racing for decades. Tony has raced this since Metros had their own manufacturer BAT, one-make championship going back many, many, many years. So the cars come out of the hairpin. You're on board with Mark Bellamy as we get to set then for the start of the race, the first of 2, and the pace car will peel into the pit lane now. The race underway. It's a slightly untidy start, but getting a very good getaway. Mike Williams then, who tries to hang on to that advantage, diving down towards Gerrard's for the first time. You can see this huge field pouring through as they work their way out of turn 1. So, heading towards Steb Straight for the first time. Is it going to be still Mike Williams that hangs on to the advantage? Neil Gardner going with him. Everybody pouring their way through, and now the cars work their way onto the Steb Straight. And look at this, absolutely side by side. Neil Gardner being edged onto the grass of the yellow car. He keeps on coming. Very, very close indeed. Mike Williams gives him no room at all there. They're still side by side. Are they going to make contact? Not quite. They're 3 wide, look, coming up towards the hairpin, because Tom Sanderson there goes to the outside line. They've somehow missed each other. Can they go 3 abreast round the hairpin? They have a real good go at it, and eventually, just ahead, comes Neil Gardner. That was a pretty fraught first lap, Joe.
I was going to say, yeah, that normally 3 doesn't go into 1, but they all managed to get through, and yeah, they're really going for it, aren't they?
So Mike Williams then, who did lead, now sort of 2nd and a half as they go across the line, because he's right up alongside Tom Sanderson's car. They dive into Gerrard's, and going a bit wide is Neil Gardner. He leaves the door open. It's another 10-minute race this, and look, back on the inside comes Mike Williams. He gets up alongside, he retakes the race lead. Fantastic stuff, this.
It's fantastic, nose to tail, and I would have thought there'd be 3 again going into the hairpin on this second lap.
Tom Sanderson, number 19, looking for a gap everywhere he can, but now back into the race lead. On the inside goes Neil Gardner. He's up alongside. He's going to go through, is he? Again, Mike Williams gets forced out wide, yes. So Neil Gardner comes through, and now Sanderson tries to attack, but they're all being caught as well. The next train of cars are starting to close up as they dive down to the hairpin. Tom Granger is there, number 94, turning their way out of the hairpin, down to the Devil's Elbow. The race leader just is Neil Gardner. Right up behind him is the double winner this year, Mike Williams. And then going with them, you've got Tom Sanderson from the 2nd row of the grid. Cars pouring their way through the hairpin. 8 more minutes of the fun still to go. Now the top 2 just gapping slightly. Everybody else, they go towards Gerrard's and getting all crossed up. There is the yellow and blue car of Neil Gardner that bounces wide, and also Mike Williams has gone with him, and they've gone way off into the weeds. They found a water splash. They've gone rally crossing, and the 2 grubby leading cars are trying to find some tarmac, and they're still side by side, even on the grass. But eventually, it's going to be Mike Williams who gets himself on just ahead of Neil Gardner, living up to his name by going onto the grass, Neil Gardner, and all of that means that there's been yet more shuffling at the head of the field, and so Tom Sanderson it is who comes through in the lead of the race. What did they do wrong?
It's difficult to say, really. I'm not really sure. It was certainly a brave move going down there, and I think they just got caught up with it. It was a case of who would brake latest, and neither of them wanted to give in.
Yeah, I think might have been a bit of contact as well. We'll try and get a replay, no doubt, in due course. But the new order then is Tom Sanderson leading the way, and going with him as they head over the timing line, you've got Tom Granger. Tom just 17 years of age, Tom Granger this is. And oops, somebody else in trouble, way off on the runoff area there. Look, number 11, Stephen Hinchcliffe, the accountant, who's found that it doesn't add up for him at the moment on the grass. He's going no further. So the 2 Toms then, the Tom-Tom battle navigating its way down towards the S's with, at the moment, Sanderson ahead of Granger, and another good battle going on for 3rd, because there you've got Paul Ashton ahead of Tony Howe, who, as I say, is a very experienced driver, Tony, with his Metro Turbo, the bright yellow car. So they're pairing off a little bit. the two leaders nose to tail. Now, is that going to be a challenge this time, I wonder, Joe, heading up towards the hairpin?
Not sure. I just wonder whether there's potentially some spots of rain out there. Certainly from here in the commentary box doesn't look like it, but the cars are looking like they're moving around a little bit, and you just have to wonder whether they were struggling for grip at turn 1 when they went off.
Yeah, could well be. Here are the leaders then, and at the moment it looks like 94 there. The second place car, Tom Granger, is the quickest. Gets a good run coming over the start and finish line. Now, in this shape of car, can you get a tow? Does slip feeding work?
I'm not sure. I've done quite a bit of stuff in a historic Mini, and you certainly seem to get a tow in one of those. But whether that's behind a big Ford Falcon or another Mini, I'm not sure.
In a boxy retro shape, it might be a similar case. Now, after their grassy excursion, Mike Williams and Neil Gardner are fighting back. Mike Williams is 8th and has just done the best lap of the race, despite muddy tyres, and Neil Gardner is 12th. The race leaders have gone through the S's, and this fight for third, look, number 79, the car in the hands of Paul Ashton versus Tony Howe. These two are working their way into contention. Tony Howe started on the 4th row of the grid. He comes up on the outside line there, down to the hairpin, the yellow car looking for a way by. Can't do it yet. And then behind them, you've got number 33, Jonathan Woodcock, who's also taken a class win this year. Tony Howe there, look to the inside line. And Tony, who's been racing this car for so many years now, hasn't had an outright win for quite some time. He's due one, I think, possibly today. Comes up, he's in 3rd place, the best of the rest. But he's got to find 2 seconds against the rest of them as they come over the line. So as they go through Gerrard's, this now lap number 6, we're at the halfway mark. And how are the grass trackers getting on? Mike Williams is 7th, Neil Gardner is in 11th place as they turn their way through Gerrard's. And there's Mark Bellamy, who is the coordinator of this championship, the agronomist, twice a runner-up in the championship, and at the moment he's running down in 8th place, turning his way, in fact, now onto the step straight. He's almost lonely, isn't he? There's a clear-ish road ahead of him, so he needs a few playmates here.
With 30 cars out there, I would have thought it's a very rare thing to be on your own. But it looks like car number 19, Sanderson, has just obviously set the fastest lap last time round, has actually pulled a bit of a lead.
The man that's chasing Tom Sanderson, you'll see in a moment, which is Tom Granger. And here they come, out of the Devil's Elbow. The gap last time was 0.3 of a second, and now they blast past the pit, 6 laps done. Tony Howe is a man in a big hurry because he has now in 3rd place done the fastest lap of the race. So the yellow Metro Turbo is starting to close on the traffic ahead. So with just under 4 minutes of the race to go, it's becoming the one to watch. Mike Williams, having been on the grass at Gerrard's, is now in 7th place. Neil Gardner is finding it harder to fight back. He's down in 10th. So there's still quite a bit, I think, that will shake out of this race. Here's the lead battle. The 2 Toms still running together, but Tony Howe in the background, look, getting closer and closer all the time. There they come, up towards the hairpin once again. Number 19, Tom Sanderson, then turns his way through the hairpin. The man from Scunthorpe keeping at bay Tom Granger, the 17-year-old student, former kart racer, first year of car racing. And then Tony Howe, as I say, he's done the best lap of the race. He's getting closer and closer all the time. It was 1.4 seconds he had to make up to the 2nd place car. The gap this time is down, but only by a 10th, in fact. So he's done the hard work. He's up into 3rd place, but finding it hard now, Joe, seemingly to get right up with the top 2.
Yeah, he is, and then just looking at Tom Granger going through there with a load of opposite lock and cocking a wheel there. These look like a lot of fun to drive, actually, and one make series. All the cars are supposedly identical, and you'd think that the best drivers are the ones that are running at the front.
Absolutely right. You can buy one of these cars race ready for something like £2,500 to £3,000, and a season of racing will cost you about £6,000 on top of that. And Tony Howe's car, one of the older cars in the race, because it's from the old days of the Metro Turbo Championship, chasing the Rover 100s ahead. Coming up to traffic, and you'll see something that looks neither like a Rover 100 or a Metro, because it's the 1400cc MG ZR, which is allowed into the championship of Jonathan Agar, who's raced Metros for many years. Tony Howe then in 3rd place, goes quicker still, does another best lap of the race for the Metros that were launched as a one-make championship in 1981. Then after the original Metros, you had the MG normally aspirated cars as their own championship. Then the Metro Turbos came along, and for years came tremendous racing. There was always a Metro Turbo, and prior to that, a normally aspirated MG Metro race supporting the British Grand Prix. That was always a highlight of the weekend. And I don't think Metro racing, if they was very close, was quite as rowdy as modern-day one-make championships. Well, here, it's not rowdy, but it's very close. It's getting closer because we're building up for 3 for the lead now, and there are back markers ahead. Look, as they dive down towards the hairpin on the inside is the leader, Tom Sanderson, trying to thread his way through the traffic. He's just going to squeeze past Darren Antwood's car coming down towards the Devil's Elbow. And have a look at Tony Howe in third place. A minute and a half on the clock. They've got time for 2 more laps, I would suggest, as they come through now. And as they do so, back markers keeping out of the way. The lead gap is 3/10, and the top 3 covered by just a second and a half. Looks like Tony Howe's dropped back, and again there, Tom Granger flings the car sideways going into Gerrard. He's great to watch.
It's fantastic to watch. It's yeah, these front-wheel drive cars, I think if you just keep your foot in, the car's going to keep in a straight line pretty much, and yeah, they do look like a lot of fun. Looking at it, we've got Tony Howe really pushing on. He's got his lights on, and that last lap, although it was a little slower, I think looking at the lap before, he was actually 1.4 seconds quicker than he went in qualifying.
Pretty impressive, isn't it? Here's a good little battle developing for 6th place, because you can see now the rather muddy car of Mike Williams trying to fight back against Tim Davies, who runs off the road and gets all sideways, and that very nearly spelt disaster for Mike Williams, who comes up alongside him and tries to go round the outside. The hairpin isn't going to work for him, not quite, so he's alongside coming to the Devil's Elbow. The leaders have gone by, and the last lap ball has been shown to them. There it is. So they've got 1 more lap, 0.3 of a second between the top 2. I think Tony Howe is falling away. Now, how is Mike Williams getting on? He's still alongside Tim Davies. These are the 2 leaders. They've got now less than a lap to go. To be fair to Tom Sanderson, he's never had a big advantage in this race, Joe, but he's not put a wheel wrong.
He's not put a wheel wrong, but we've got Tom Granger putting his lights on, trying to put the leader off. But he seems to be very, very composed, and I think he's managing it quite well, to be honest.
I'll go along with that. Tony Howe there or thereabouts in third place, and as they come down to the hairpin, there's a big lock-up and a big squeal of tyres. Both of them get around the corner safely, although Sanderson not that quick coming out of the corner, but he's going to be able to hang on. He sticks his elbows out, makes the car wide coming into the Devil's Elbow, and so Tom Sanderson, he's going to win the Battle of the Toms, because Tom Granger is going to be on his tail. There's the flag. They come across the line. Tom Sanderson wins. Tom Granger is second. Tony Howe takes third, and fourth is going to be Paul Ashton. Jonathan Woodcock will come through to be fifth, and we wait for sixth. It was Mike Williams, except I think he's gone missing on the last lap, hasn't he? Because Tim Davies comes through in the end, the man with whom Mike Williams was battling, and he's long overdue. Remember the blue and white car with its muddy front? Well, it's not come over the timing line yet, and somewhere around Mallory, I fear, a man that led briefly early on in this race has come to grief. Looking around to try and spot the car, and I can't do so yet, but it could be hidden out there somewhere. So after what was a fairly busy race, we saw them going side by side down towards Gerrard's. I wonder whether he made another mistake there, Mike Williams. What a race, eh?
It's fantastic.
Echoes everywhere.
It looked like really good fun. I actually want to be out there. Yeah, I mean, they're all driving very well, and right up the front, the winner Sanderson, he really did a very good job of maintaining the lead and not sort of reacting to the flashing lights of Granger.
And the beauty of this, as we were saying in the race, is that you can go racing competitively, really close racing, for not much money. Tom Sanderson the winner, Tom Granger and Tony Howe's Metro Turbo, Paul Ashton fourth, Jonathan Woodcock fifth, and Tim Davies rounds out the top six in a very lively race indeed, and the results of that will help sort out the grid for race 2, and we'll look forward to the second race later on. Now this is a replay of what happened between the 2 leaders. Did they get it wrong together, or was there a bit of contact? Either way, Joe, they both went way, way wide into the weeds.
Yeah, I think they both got it wrong, and there was a bit of contact, so it was everything there. It's a shame, because it was really shaping up to a very, very good race, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in race 2 with them coming from behind.
Yeah, because Neil Gardner, in the end, got himself to 7th, but Mike Williams didn't even get to the checkered flag. He's going to be way, way down. Well, Tom Sanderson takes a very well-deserved win, and he's with Jenny Gow.
Yes, it is, Tom. Congratulations. That was a real good battle between you and the other Tom as well.
Yeah, it was a great battle at the end. I was just hoping for third, really, to be honest, but then Mike and Neil took themselves out in the first corner, and that was it. Luck was in my favour today. It's well chuffed. Over the moon.
You obviously got quite a good view of what was happening. We were looking on, and unbelievably that they managed to take themselves out.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it myself, and then I nearly lost it myself, and after that it was just me and the other Tom having a good battle. Well done to him, because he's on the worst of tyres than me, so he did really well to get second overall. Good.
Well, let's get your trophy in and your laurel. You can go off and celebrate. As we said, we are interactive today, so Tweeting Alien's been in touch saying he owned a few MGs, currently got an MX-5. Love to see those racing on Motors TV at some time, but definitely looking forward to all of the MGs taking to Mallory Park later on.
Indeed so, and we've got more from the Metros a little bit later on in the day as well. So.
Right, hello everybody, welcome back to Metro Fest. Oh, wasn't that a cracking race from Mallory Park there? Some wonderful, wonderful action. Now, I am delighted to be joined by a Metro enthusiast, shall we say. It's George from Metro Power. George, how you doing, my friend? Are you well?
Hello, yes, very well, thank you.
Good. Now, George, let's. You're a young man. You know, the Metro has been around for a while. But you clearly have a love for the Metro, don't you? How did that come about?
Well, it was a funny start, really. When I was first starting out learning to drive, which is nigh on 12 years ago now, I was pretty convinced, I should say, that I would not take my father's suggestion of using a Metro as my first car. I was rather against the idea, and well, to say the least, I took it on because it was your freedom, you know, your first car, and I drove it, and I thought, okay, this is great. But all my other friends at the time were driving Saxos, Clios, you know, the like, bit more popular back then. Yeah, bit more popular back then. But what came about from that was, I thought, do you know what? Let's just stick with it. I did, and I went on the internet as you do. My dad's a mechanic, and in his youth a petrol head, so I must have inherited some of his genes there, because I thought, I'm going to start modifying this. I'm going to make it my own. I'm going to make it, you know, something that won't quite have disrespect on the streets with my friends and such like. So I I started modifying it. I came across Metro Power, the car club, and essentially they had a very, very in-depth how-to guide on all the good mods and bad mods that you could do, and off I went, and there we are. It's stuck.
Well, let's talk Metro Power. See the website's just below. Do go check it out, metropower.info. It's an enthusiast page. It's open to everybody from any genre of Metro. How would you best describe Metro Power?
Well, it's a very open community. Excuse me. We don't have a particular sort of age group. We have, despite its very, old school vibe, Metro Power, Metros in general, they, were stopped being produced over 2 decades ago now. So it's definitely something that we welcome anyone to come into, primarily, and it always was, about modifying your Metro, hence the name Metro Power.
Yep.
But we also, we're happy to accept all sorts, really. Yeah, no, anyone.
So you've probably got a few stories. What's the wackiest Metro you've ever seen? You must have seen like flares and body kits galore. And
well, as you can imagine, when the Metro was an entity, and we're talking about perhaps the later range into the 90s here, the max power era of cars. So there was some designs, but of course I was still quite young in those times. I didn't, couldn't drive, etc. But when I started to drive, and it was at that sort of age where all the mod cons you could put on were in-car entertainment, subwoofers and things like that. And in terms of body kits wise, what people tended to do was, the goal was to make your car look like the Metro GTI.
Rightly so, finally.
Yes, exactly. So as well as the earlier Metros, they had all the MG Metro Turbo body kits that they put on. So it was almost like a generational thing. The standard Metros of the first lot were always, modded to be the luxurious MG Metro Turbo. And as with the K series, the Mark III, everyone wanted to go GTI and things like that. But in terms of the wackiest, I mean, to name but a few, there was a particular car named by a chap in Metro Power, quite an old school member actually, had a purple. I can't remember. I think it's amaranth is the correct color, but he had a very max power body kit vibe going on, and he named the car Ronnie, and it had quite a reputation. But sadly, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it did meet a bit of a gruesome end on the Nürburgring. So
that would have cost a fair bit then.
Yes, there may be some details that I'm a bit fuzzy on, but yeah, it had a very legendary status, and it was a very extreme car.
If anybody's watching this right now and remembers Ronnie, please do comment below. And if you've got any pictures, post the pictures below. We can see them. We will look at them, and we'll send them to you as well, George, at Metro Power, because I know it's obviously right.
They're definitely lurking.
They're definitely lurking.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, because today's obviously a lot about motorsport, and people looking to get involved with, say, the MG Metro Cup. And think about sourcing cars. Is it still quite easy to find Metro cars? Are they still readily available?
Well, when I first started into the Metro scene, it was a very, very easy way to go and find any Metro, be it in a good or bad state. And because of obviously their reputation, most of the time they had rust of some kind. There's two avenues. It was either you found someone that had a very genuine example, some old dear who parked her Metro up in the garage decades ago.
Once a week to the shops.
It's gone to Sainsbury's or other supermarkets are available, and and never gone any further than 3 miles in it. And those were the ones that you wanted, because they hadn't been, treated badly. But again, the other avenue was you found someone or found a person that wanted to get rid, and it was in a terrible state or heavily, modified. And those are your two avenues. I always thought going down the route of finding someone that had locked it in a barn find, etc., was the best way. But you do, and as time has progressed on, that has become a very difficult avenue to pursue.
Yeah.
And due to the Metro turning, I believe it was 40 only a few months ago in October, I think, the value has shot up, and getting hold of them is not necessarily more difficult, but a very, very different price than what it was, say, a decade ago. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a quick picture actually to show. This is your website, isn't it? Look at that. Do go check it out, metropower.info. As you can see, there's all sorts of info. Oh, look, there's a little Metro Fest announcement down there as well. Look at that.
I was going to break this news to you. Unfortunately, you weren't the first to have a Metro Fest long ago now. Long ago now. Now,
George, what are you doing to me?
You've probably smashed it. Don't worry. There's going to be no solicitor action or anything like that. But long ago, we had it was almost like a car meet, but a weekend job. I live down in the West Country in Somerset, as you can probably tell from the accent. But
I can't know you said it.
But I hosted one or two back in 2012, I think, where we'd go around all the local sites and convoy about and things like that, and night out and stuff like that. But nothing on this scale, so you're safe. You're safe.
Well, I am pleased to say I picked a good name then, didn't I? Metro Fest.
Yes, yeah. Well, we chose Trofest, you see, obviously.
Okay.
So you're definitely safe from a lawsuit.
Well, that's why I got you on the show, actually, just to smooth things over.
Yeah. Okay.
And talking of that as well, I know with regards to Metro Power, you do have some supporters, don't you? And some places that people can go if they need a bit of help with stuff. If you want to, feel free to give them a shout out.
Yes. Well, as with anything, getting hold of parts from your parts counter or various different suppliers is quite a challenge these days with old cars in general, not just the Metro, but the MG Rover scene as a whole has, lots of parts that, especially with the modified Metros with the different engine conversions, you can get parts from various different suppliers. But the particular ones I can think of off the top of my head for custom, build machine stuff, there's a guy down in Cornwall named Ralph. He runs a company called Component Engineering. Look him up. He's very good. Various different fabrications that you can add to your Metro, like shock turrets, weldable in reinforcements for front shocks and things like that. He does all sorts of things in titanium and aluminium. So if you're a big weight saving person for your Metro, that's definitely a guy you wanna hit up.
I just go on a diet usually, George.
Yeah, that's hard in these lockdown days, isn't it? But yeah, so component engineering that's a good one to mention. There's also various MG, not necessarily specific to the Metro, but again, for engine conversions, discount MG Rover spares. They're a good place for getting a hold of genuine and fairly priced things, so it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg when you go to your parts counter. There's also a company called Retro Reproductions. Now they focus mainly on producing plastic moldings and 3D printing replacement things. So you could get your GTI spats, you can get your splitters, various little interior trim bits and things like that. So if you're looking to not necessarily modify but maintain and keep your car very original, which is definitely a thing these days, especially if you have a desirable model, there's another person you want to hit up. And all of these people should be linked on our website anyway, so you should get a hold of them.
Fantastic. So if you are looking to do up your Metro, you need a bit of help, do go to metropower.info. Do check it out. The supplies. It's good information to know, actually, George. It really, really is. Like you said, the car is 40 years old now. It hasn't been manufactured for a long, long time. Is it classed as a classic car? Well,
I think people are still, although I have two, you see, I have the very latest 97 registration and also a 95 registration. So what's that? That's over 20 years now. So I think the classic car range is something between 20 and 25 year, but the original Metros, the Austin Metros, the MG Metros, and the most desirable, the MG Metro Turbo, they're definitely all classics, and the price tag that they sell at reflects that, and they're more popular as time goes on.
You find that, don't you?
Yes.
I don't want to give other brand names away of cars and stuff, but even if you've got the most common car now, if you chuck it in a garage for 30 years, then it's going to probably be worth more than it is now.
Of course, yeah.
George, thanks so much for your time. I really, really appreciate that, and thank you for all the great work you're doing with Metro Power. It's great to have. It was great to be working with you guys as well. We are going to be showing, obviously, every single MG Metro Cup race live this year. Hopefully, we'll be showing it on Metro Power as well, so you can get your fill of motorsport and Metro's day-to-day runners at metropower.info. Right, now I'm delighted to say we've got another cracking feature coming up very, very shortly. I'll be joined by Mark Bolsch and Wayne Scott from the MG Car Club itself. So we're going to go to a very, very short break. When we come back, I'll bring Mark and Wayne in and we'll have a cracking time. Thanks very much. We'll see you in a minute. Thanks, George. Right, everybody, we've got a real treat for you now. I'm delighted to welcome two gentlemen from the MG Car Club. I've got Wayne Scott just below me here and Mark Bolsch as well. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Very good. Very good.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, you guys are heavily involved in the MG Car Club. Wayne, we're going to quickly come to you. What is it you do with the MG Car Club?
Well, essentially, I do all the communications. So I'm the MG Car Club's official PR man. And I also present their weekly podcast series as well, which is something that we started at the beginning of the first lockdown of the pandemic. And it's a good way of just talking about MGs when we're not able to meet up in person, basically.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Now, I've been on the website. I've had a little look through. There's a lot of wonderful, wonderful content. If somebody wants to listen to one of these podcasts, where's the best place to go, Wayne?
Well, very easy, mgpodcast.uk, or you can follow the links from the MG Car Club website. We put them out every week. Every weekend they come out with our MG Car Club newsletter. And they are interviews ranging from many of the people on the grid at various MG races, including the Metros, but others as well that Mark will tell you more about in a moment. But also some interesting stories of those people that have owned MGs for a long time or have got an interesting story about how they've come into the ownership of an MG. So, for example, we had Tom McCooey on, who had been rebuilding his late father's MG Magnet, and a fantastic story of just what that car meant to him. right the way through to the chairman of the FBHVC, which is the Federation of British Historic Vehicle Clubs, on how we're all dealing with E10 fuel. So lots of interesting topics.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah, do go check that out. It is well worth it. Mark, let's come to you. I can see there you've got plenty of model cars behind you. Is that a bit of a clue as to what you do with the MG Car Club?
Maybe a little bit of a one, although you'll find rally cars and race cars behind me, as well as ordinary road cars, and everything from MGs, of course, to Minis, Jaguars and Fiats that I also collect. So there's quite a lot up there. But my day-to-day role for MG is the competition secretary, which is a fairly innocuous title when it actually involves an awful amount of work, which is basically running all of the race meetings, so everything from the ground up. So timetabling, arranging the rescue and recovery, arranging the track hire, making sure we've got the right officials in the right places, and then everything including the entries, and making sure that everybody comes out and has a safe and fun race meeting with us.
So quite a lot of responsibility there. In fact, we were chatting off there beforehand, and we were at Alton Park together, weren't we, last year at the back end, and it was an absolute storm, wasn't it? We were both dripping wet. What do you do in that sort of situation? You've got very difficult decisions to have to make in those situations, haven't you?
And it becomes quite simple, actually, because it comes down to safety. So, you know, we have a really good team that helps us to run each and every race meeting, and they'll be out there assessing the conditions on the track, talking to the competitors that have just raced out on the track, talking to all of the officials and marshals around the track, and eventually they'll make a decision as to whether it's safe to continue or not. And sadly, on that occasion, you know, eventually we had to make the decision it wasn't. Now, interesting when you make that decision, because no doubt with you walking around the paddock, you'd have had some very disappointed competitors who love racing in the rain and love the challenge of it. But equally, there would have been some that were quite glad to start packing up and going home.
Yeah, I can actually say much from walking around and talking to people. You know, they agreed it was the right decision. So, you know, people get it, don't they? And I imagine, Wayne, you work very closely with Mark then, because when that sort of decision's been made, you know, you've got to communicate that out quickly to everybody.
Well, yeah, and that's the great thing about having your video feed as well. You know, people get to see what the action is via our social media channels, which has become essential communication for us over the past few months, really, even more than it was before pandemic. So, yeah, getting the word out there that that's what's happened to the race championship, to those, especially now who, up until, you know, Motorsport UK have hopefully given us the go-ahead for spectators at some point this year. When the spectators aren't around the track, this is the best way of finding out information like that.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, we're you know, this is Metro Fest. It is about the Metros, but it's not just the Metros involved with the MG Car Club, is it, Mark? There's so many different championships. Just talk us through, well, some of the championships that we've got at the MGCC.
So there's 6 different race championships. As you'd expect, they're all predominantly aimed at MGs. So we have the BCV8 Championship, which, as the name suggests, is MGBs and MGCs. Fun fact for your viewers this afternoon, my middle name starts with a G. So my initials are genuinely MGB, which is rather fun.
Written in the stars, wasn't it?
End up working with MGBs at some point, really. But there we go. My mum swears she didn't do it on purpose, but I'm not sure I believe her. So with the Bs and the Cs, which were the later V8 version of the same model, we see those in both Roadster version and Coupe version. So we see both the hard tops and the soft tops racing with us. And the V8s are something to behold, because the sound they make and the speed they travel at is absolutely incredible. Then we have the midgets. So we have the Lackford Engineering Midget and Sprite Challenge. So as the name there suggests, not only do we have midgets, but we welcome the Sprites to join us as well, which are very, very similar cars, obviously, and give us some very close racing at all the race meetings that we have. Moving forward through the ages, we then move to the Metros, which you've mentioned. Looking forward to a new title sponsor this year of Hickford Construction Limited. And we always get really, really close racing with those guys. They race in one class, so they're all very, very similar in terms of power. And they're actually going around that track a lot faster than you might imagine, because although they've still got the standard 1400cc engine in most of them, they've been stripped out and weigh less than 700 kilograms. So they move pretty quickly, which is great fun. And as I say, very, very close racing as well. Then we have the MG Cup, powered by Cherished Vehicle Insurances. And the MG Cup caters for all models of MG, as well as a number of Rovers. So we recently introduced the Rover Tomcats to that particular championship as well. And they're something to behold around the tracks because they have some power. But really interesting to see the likes of Maestros, Bs, Midgets. Then we've got the ZRs, the ZSs, all mixing together. And you see the very different capabilities that they have. So, you know, a Midget has very, very different handling characteristics to a ZR. And when they're racing together, I seem to remember one of the ZR drivers once describing a Midget as a very annoying wasp. Because he could leave it behind on the straights, no problem at all. But when they got into the corners, the Midget handled so much better around the corners. It was overtaking him every time they got to a major corner. So they were swapping places all the time, having a lot of fun. We then have the Cockshoot Cup, which is similar in makeup to the MG Cup, but predominantly aimed at our members in the Northwest. So it tends to visit the Northwest track. So, for example, they won't come to Brands Hatch with us. So that's slightly different. And then we have the MG Trophy, which is all the ZRs, but in 3 different classes. So we have the more normal, almost road-going Class C cars, which are 160 horsepower. Then you have the Class B cars, which are slightly tweaked, have a little bit of work done on the ECU, and they're 170 horsepower. And then we have the all-singing, all-dancing Class A's that are 190 horsepower and really, really good fun.
Lovely. Yeah, I been involved in the MG Car Club. I'm a bit of a fan myself. My first car actually was a Rover, a 214, and I remember being a young lad at the time, how things change. I was the only guy at college who had a 5-door family saloon, and it was a Rover. So, I thought I was cool. Right, chaps. Obviously, aside from motorsport, the MG Car Club as well, it caters for all MG enthusiasts. Isn't there, Wayne? Am I right in thinking there's about 50,000 enthusiasts involved with the MG Car Club?
Yeah, across the world. If you take all of the little MG Car Club regions across the globe, then yeah, there's over 55,000 people there. But yeah, significant number here in the UK. And of course, MG Car Club is the original club for MGs, and we're based in Abingdon on Cemetery Road, just near where the cars were all built. And our main office there is called Kimber House, after Cecil Kimber, the MG founder himself. So it's a very historic place to be for a very historic club that last year celebrated its 90th anniversary. And this year, all very exciting stuff, because we're celebrating 60 years of the Midget and 20 years of the Zeds. I can't believe it's 20 years ago since the MG Zeds were launched. I'm starting to feel a little bit old, realising that.
Club, yeah. So, yeah, and of course, last year was actually am I right? I think it was the 90th birthday last year, wasn't it, of the MG Car Club? Of course, COVID did put a little bit of kibosh on things, but coming up, we've got quite a bit coming up, and I'm delighted to say MG Live is going to be back next year, isn't it, in 2022?
Yeah, so MG Live will return, we hope, to Silverstone in 2022. But for this year, although we weren't able to run it due to the restrictions and, you know, the roadmap that we've all been given, we are doing a really interesting and unique one-off event. And it's exciting because there's an old rivalry in British motor history between Triumph and MG. Abingdon versus Coventry, and forever those two brands have had a good bit of banter between them, between the owners of MGs and Triumphs. But what we've actually done this year is combine the two big sort of international weekends, if you like, of MGs and Triumphs into one big event in August at the Three County Showground in Malvern near Worcestershire. And the Triumph guys, they're celebrating 60 years of the TR4 and anniversaries for the Acclaim and the 1200 Heralds as well. So they've got their own anniversaries to look forward to, and bringing the MGs and the Triumphs together into one big spectacular festival in August when we're all loud out again, I think is going to be a really exciting weekend.
I'm glad you brought this up, actually, Wayne, because the eagle-eyed viewers of you might notice, just as you're looking at the screen to the right of Wayne's head, can you see the Triumph and MG weekend? And as if by magic, I can blow it up for everybody. And there it is. Look at that.
I made that logo with my own crayons, you know.
Good man, good man. Look, I do want to just touch back on, obviously, MG Live at Silverstone. It's such a massive, massive event, isn't it? And actually, Wayne, Mark, I do have a little video I want to play. It's back from 2016, I believe. So anybody watching this, and if the COVID police are watching, it was filmed 5 years ago nearly now. So please don't hold us up on it. But it is going to be back on next year, fingers crossed, subject to everything getting the go-ahead. And if you love your cars, if you love MGs, you're going to want to go, because this is how it looks.
Let me tell you about a place I know, the place where all my wildest dreams unfold, where the moment really feels right, when you listen to me all the time. Let me tell you about a place I know, the place where all my wildest dreams unfold, where the moment really feels right, when you listen to me all the time. I'll keep on dreaming, keep on dreaming, I'll keep on dreaming. If you imagine what the future holds, the way it makes you feel, it never gets old. And now it's time for you to just sit tight, because the journey's really in full flight. This could be the start of something sweet, a taste of everything I want to be. And when I feel like things are getting worse, I dream of the future I deserve. Let me tell you about a place I know, the place where all my wildest dreams unfold, where the moment really feels right, when you listen to me all the time. Let me tell you about a place I know, the place where all my wildest dreams unfold, where the moment really feels right, when you listen to me all the time. I'll keep on dreaming, I'll keep on dreaming, I'll keep on dreaming. If you ever get there, don't let go. It's not enough for you to just come close, 'cause when you're there it all feels fine, then you'll want to leave the rest behind.
Wow. I have to say, I don't know what to say. I mean, that looks an awful lot of fun. It also looks like an awful lot of hard work to put together as well, chaps.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I'm watching that. That's the first time I've sat and watched that video through since it was made some 5-6 years ago. And doesn't it just make you realise how much we miss going out to events like that? You know, it really does. We've got to get out there. We've got to get all the MG family together as soon as we can.
And what it shows really, really well is the diversity of that MG family. I mean, Wayne's used a phrase there that we use all the time in MG Car Club. There are so many different parts of the marque, you know, everything from saloon cars to sports cars, all the different ages. And we have all of those in our racing as well. And the huge diversity amongst our racing community, from 16-year-olds right up to, we had more than 60 years between the youngest driver and the oldest driver on the grid. And the same in the cars. You know, we have pre-war racing cars that come out, the Triple M's are fantastic to see, hear and smell. You've got to get the smell of those cars. Right up to the more modern ZRs. And of course, we even had an MG3 racing a couple of years ago. So, you know, whatever badge you've got, whatever car you've got, whatever's got the MG car badge on it, we welcome you at both the events and at the racing. And that's one of the great things about it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And people can join the MG Car Club as well, can't they? And they do that actually. Let me just get the website up for people. If you do want to find out more, are you interested in becoming a member of the MG Car Club? There it is, the mgcc.co.uk. And there's a number of member benefits, isn't there? Wayne, do you want to take that one? What do people get for joining up?
Yeah, you know, there are member benefits, and I can sit here and I can talk you through the insurance scheme that's, you know, tailored to MG owners of all different eras of MG, you know, and it's a scheme that looks after cherished cars very, very well. I can talk about the registers that are pools of expertise on individual models and all of the regional meets within the centres that we have across the country. But you know what? The main thing about joining a club is just the access to the family. And it's the ability to do things with your car and experience things through your MG ownership that you just wouldn't experience if you were just on your own. You know, and it's fine to take it out on a Sunday drive around your local roads, but get involved with the club, put a bit of time into it, get a great magazine, Safety Fast, through the letterbox every month, and look at the events that we're running there and some of the experiences and life-changing moments that you have access to through the club. And that is what it's all about, actually. So, yeah, there's loads of benefits, but it's actually, if you get involved, it can utterly transform your ownership of an MG. It's fantastic.
Yeah, certainly, and look, I can certainly vouch for that. Mark, let's just quickly ask you, competition secretary, a lot of work. What's the best thing about being involved at the MGCC for you?
It's the atmosphere in the paddock. You know, no word of a lie. I've worked in everything from banger racing to Formula One, and the atmosphere in the MG paddock is completely different to anywhere else. And you know this, Ian, from having gone to lots of different paddocks. That genuinely is a feeling of family. And the competitors, when they get out on the track, the red mist comes down and they will race each other hard. But when they're in the paddock, if someone needs some help, they've broken something and need a spare part, or they don't know how to change something on the car, you will see them come together and help each other because they want to have as many people out there on the track. And the same is true at all of our other events as well. I mean, I'm talking about track racing, but of course we have track days, we have auto solos, we have speed championships. There are all sorts of things, as has just been said, that you can come and do with your MG. You don't have to strip it out, put a roll cage in it and race it. You can do lots of other things with it as well. And people will be there to help you. It's that feeling of family.
I can certainly, again, back that up, and I refer back to Alton Park as well, and it was absolutely heaving it down. And I can tell you, every person I walked past said, Ian, come to our tent. We've got the kettle on. We'll make you a nice brew. Honestly, it's a family, isn't it? And it's a lovely thing to be a part of. Wayne, I guess similar for you, really, isn't it? It's a family affair, really, the MGCC.
Yeah, it really is. And it's across the world as well. You know, it's amazing what owning the same type of car as someone else, how that gives you such common ground and like-minded people. And it's really nice to feel part of something, you know. And the people you get to meet through the MG Car Club, just fantastic. The support you get, the interesting friendships from around the country that you get. And I can honestly say I can go to anywhere in the UK. You could land me anywhere and I'll find a friendly MG Car Club member I could go and stay with somewhere nearby. It's as good as that. It really is.
Fantastic.
They also give Mark lots of free polo shirts as well.
There you go. What more can you ask for? Mark, Wayne, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I really, really do appreciate it. I know you're very busy men, but motorsport is coming back. We are going to be back at the track very, very soon. I'm also pleased to say I will be with the MG Car Club this year as well, doing plenty of live streaming, having a lot of fun behind the scenes as well. If you want to find out more, please do go to www.mgcc.co.uk. It really, really is worth checking out. Guys, once again, thank you very much. I'll see you both trackside very, very soon. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ian.
Right, hello everybody. Well, that is the end of session 1. Can't believe it. That was an awful lot of fun. Everybody's actually abandoned me right now, so they left me all by myself to wrap up session 1. Of course, a massive thank you to all of our guests for that session 1. It was so much fun, wasn't it? Big thank you to Robbie Kennan, of course, who gave us a little insight into getting into racing. That was very good indeed. Straight after that, of course, we went into the Mallory Park race. That was a lot of fun. Big thank you to George as well from Metro Power for giving us a little bit more insight into the Metros and even modifying them up if you really want to. And of course, a massive thank you just then to Wayne Scott and Mark Bolsh from the MG Car Club. Now, we must just give a big thank you as well to the Metro Cup sponsor for this season, Hickford Construction Limited. Big thank you to you, new headline sponsor, of course, for the 2021 season. That's right. This year, of course. And of course, don't forget, you can watch every single MG Metro Cup race live this year. Now, throughout the broadcast and the 2 sessions we've got coming up, if you have a question, please do comment at any time. We do want to hear from you, and we can see them as well. We will respond to them. So if you have a question for any of our guests, or you want to find out a little bit more about the Hickford Construction Limited MG Metro Cup, please comment below or go to our website. It's running across the bottom. Now, session 2. We've got a cracking little session coming up for you as well. We've got a number of drivers. They're going to be joining us live. We're going to be chatting to them. It's called Metro Meets. Look at that. There it is. Metro Meets. Nice little image there. Right. That's just about it from me. This is Metro Fest 2021. And don't forget, we're going to be back at 3 o'clock live for the next session. Don't forget, we've got session 3 coming up a little bit later as well. You won't want to miss this. You won't want to miss any of it. This is Metro Fest 2021. We'll see you back at 3 o'clock.